Martin. Okay, I think it's enough. I'm trying. Welcome to our third and last election evening. Just another regular day. Nothing special, except for MCP elections, of course. All right, before we start, I'm just going to give you a couple of logistical announcements for tonight and tomorrow so that you know what's going to happen. And afterwards, I'm going to give over to Frauke for the roll call. And then we'll already go into the speeches and start very swiftly. I'm saying the word swiftly a lot in the last 2 days. Anyways, welcome. Yes, this is the agenda for tomorrow, so you can already look at it. The gods have been gracious to us. Somebody gave us a 1 hour sleep in, so we're starting with the morning plenary. We are starting with the morning plenary at 10. Of course, here, since everybody has behaved very, very well in legislation, except for Pelle.
For opening plenary, you all need your jackets to go outside. So just keep that in mind for tomorrow morning.
Thank you. And with that, you mean morning plenary. All right. Yes, 10 a.m. Don't be late. Yes, there will be breakfast. However, it's still going to be at the same time as usual. So you have to make a very important choice. Either you go to the breakfast or you sleep really in. Or you're really smart and you just get up, get breakfast, and go back to bed. That's also something you can do. Third, moving on. For tonight, starting right now, please avoid the hallways inside of the building, since we have families with little children here, and of course we're going to get drunk later, or probably some of us. Pelle. And so please avoid the hallways because it's really noisy, even if you just walk there with your dress shoes. It's going to be really loud. We're going to wake up children. We don't want to do that, so don't go there. We have a door inside of the plenary, this one behind the curtain. We're going to open it after the evening plenary so that you actually can go outside through this way. And since the doors are going to be locked, you can walk back in through the toilet on the other side of the building. That is the easiest way. It's very easy to find because it's right next to the announcement place, but that's the most convenient way to move around here. So please don't exit through this door, but actually that door later. Yes, there's going to be a lot of traffic on the toilet. Moving on, for tonight, after the election, after everybody has cast their ballot, there's going to be a short break in which you will have time to get your laptops, very important, because you're going to need your laptops and your headphones for the evening plenary. We're going to look at the plans for the next 3 months again and going to be go more into detail for it. So please bring them. I'm going to remind you in the end again so that it's very important to have them here. Cool. I think those are the important logistical announcements, and I'm going to hand over to Frauke for the roll call.
Okay, so please, as you're now sitting totally differently, please speak loud so that I can see you. Aachen. Yes, Aachen anwesend mit Stimmrecht Aschaffenburg. Anwesend ohne Stimmrecht Augsburg. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht Bamberg. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht Bayreuth. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht Berlin HU. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht Berlin TU. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht Bielefeld. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht Bochum. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht Bonn. Yes, I'm sorry. Please, Regiokurs, pick up your voting cards and distribute them. Okay, next we have Bonn. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht Braunschweig. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht Bremen. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht Darmstadt. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht Dresden. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht Düsseldorf. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht Frankfurt. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht Freiburg. Anwesend ohne Stimmrecht Gießen. Gießen-Marburg. Oh, that's true. So, Gießen. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht Göttingen. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht Halle. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht Hamburg. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht Hannover. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht Heidelberg. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht Jena. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht Kaiserslautern. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht Karlsruhe. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht Kiel. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht Köln. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht Leipzig. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht Lüneburg. Lüneburg? Ah, sorry. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht Magdeburg. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht Mainz-Wiesbaden. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht Mannheim. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht München. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht Münster. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht Nürnberg. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht Paderborn. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht Passau. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht Regensburg. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht Stuttgart und Hohenheim. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht Tübingen-Reutlingen. Tübingen. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht Würzburg. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht Benny. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht Christoph.
So true.
Anwesend mit Stimmrecht Johannes nicht anwesend. Mitch. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht Pam. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht Pelle. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht Tu. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht Stefan. Anwesend ohne Stimmrecht Max. Anwesend mit Stimmrecht RLPs. Regiokurs. OC. Guests. Awesome. Very cool. So we have 47 people who are allowed to vote later. And now I hand back to Christoph.
Very, very good. I'm just going to lose a couple of last words before we start with Alma, and then later have Johannes for the speech and Q&A. So for tonight, as you know, we'll have the speeches. What we want you to... Oops. what we want you to look at in the speeches and what I want you to look for during those speeches. Of course, you've already talked about this with the regional coordinators, but just as a short reminder, the speech is of course only a part of the process. You have had your regional rounds earlier, and probably there are a couple of open questions left after those. So you can ask them in the Q&A. Also, you might have really cool questions in your regional rounds, or you might have had them, but you can also use them again to show the answer to the entire plenary, just as a tip that might work. However, the speeches and the way they will be delivered and designed are completely up to the candidate. So the only thing that you can actually look at here is how they communicate their vision, or whatever they wanted to put in the speeches. Nevertheless, I want to leave you with last two advices. See the person behind the speech. Really look for what does this person stand for. And then, lastly, when you go into the elections, who represents what you want to see in the organization in the coming year? Starting in July, because you're still stuck with Max as an MCP for the next half year. he is already the MCP current. But after that, you'll have two of you. Amazing. No, wait. Okay. No. What to do? And that's very a bit more straightforward than what I just told you. Please smile. Listen attentively. Did Cozy already go outside? Good. Please smile, listen attentively, and bring in your questions. So please really think about what are the most important things that you still want to get out of this process, or maybe what do you know about the candidates that you want to showcase to the rest of the plenary. And for this, I shall leave the stage. It's going to be 10 minutes of speech, 20 minutes of Q&A. It's going to work the same way with the Q&A than it worked before on Thursday for the case study. So you should know how it works. And with that, I'm just going to check, but we can already start to get excited. Please get up.
During the next 10 minutes while I talk, 1,080 people are going to die. And on the other hand, 2,670 babies are going to be born. Some in luxury, some in decent living conditions, some in illness and poverty, and some even dead. People are going to leave this world having destroyed it. Some are going to leave it having built it. And the tiny individuals that come into this world, they see a world that we love, but that we also want to change. So the world is huge, and we as tiny individuals, we do not have a purpose unless we give ourselves a purpose. And I know that some of you have found your purpose, and I want to congratulate you on that. It's great. And I know that all of you want to be relevant, and you want to have relevance in what you do. And all of us, to some extent, we are relevant already. And although I believe that we don't live for ourselves, I want to show you that it's important to focus on yourself somehow. So for now, I want you to be selfish. Not self-serving, but selfish. Because I want to show you how it feels. I want to show you how it feels to find the most powerful intrinsic motivation and to connect what you crave for in life with what you're doing right now. So I'm asking you to close your eyes. I'm going to ask you a few questions. And if you're in with me, I want you to be really, really honest to yourself. I want to ask you a very simple first question. What is it that makes you happy? What is it that really makes you happy? What is it that your heart makes a jump for when you think of it? Is it a person, maybe? A place? Maybe it's a memory. Or maybe it's a dream, a goal, or a purpose you have in life. If you have it, hold on to it. Because now, I want to know, what is the future you envision in your mind? How do you want a world to be like in 5, 10, 15 years? What is that one thing that more than anything needs to be improved for you to say, I was part of a generation that turned things to the better? Maybe it's a world with gender equality. Maybe it's a world with no hunger. Maybe it's a world that doesn't have to face the fatal consequences of global warming. Or maybe it's a world where young people care, every person cares. Or maybe it's something completely different. What is that one thing you want to see in the world in the future? So now that you have in mind what makes you happy and you know how you envision the future, I want to ask you, how is what you're doing today contributing to that future you envision? And how is it making you a person, making that future a reality? And think about the here and now. So when you wake up in the morning these days, how is what you're doing contributing to that future in front of your eyes? Got it? Got your connection? Keep your eyes closed, because I want to ask you one final question. Why? Why is this particular purpose the one that is so important to you? Why? Closed. I want you to put that why in a few words. If possible, one word. And once you have that word, draw it in your head, every single letter. See the letters engraving in front of your imaginary sight. And once that sight is clear for you, you can open your eyes. When I close my eyes, I see justice. Justice is my why. What makes me happy is to see people talking with honesty, people sharing their realities, and people communicating what they really believe in. And when I envision a future that I want my children to grow up in, then it's a future where people are not afraid to talk. They're not afraid to be honest. And they don't judge people when they don't know nothing about them at all. And when I wake up every morning, I know that everything I do, from my studies and my ISEC work and how I communicate with my friends and family, everything is targeted at making people understand that they have to know the world in order to change it. It's about gaining the knowledge through learning, through talking, through experiencing. It's actually the whole package we offer in ISEC. And why is it so important to me? It's because I know how it feels. I know how it feels to be misjudged. I know how it feels to be a foreigner, a stranger, someone whom you underestimate. But I also know it feels awesomely amazing to prove people wrong and to teach them things they wouldn't have imagined. So justice is what drives me. And what you had in your head just a minute ago is what drives you. And now imagine an ISEC entity where every member has that why for themselves and who knows how to get where they want to be through what they do in ISEC. And I know what you think. It's all so fluffy, right? No, values are not fluffy. What you had in your head just a minute ago is not fluffy. We make plans for exchange. Why don't we make plans for personal roadmaps? Why don't we use ISEC next to everything it is as a platform to create lifestyles? Because ISEC, next to all that it is, and all that it can help people to define their goals, to have that personal roadmap, to set the KPIs for it. And we should support them in getting where they want to go through the work they do in ISEC. Because we can't expect people to be motivated 365 days a year. That's not human. But what we can expect them to do is to connect everything that they do inside or outside of the organization to their why. And trust me, if we do that, what we get in return is amazingly empowered and powerful individuals who strive for what ISEC wants, because they're not only allowed to, but they're encouraged to chase their own purpose at the same time. And no, this is not something we're good at right now. So how we do that? As simple. Through innovation of value delivery and continuity. Because let's face it, the bottom-up culture, it's not something the 15, 16 generation should be famous for. Because the bottom-up culture should be part of every generation to come. It should be part of the ISEC lifestyle, right? And digitization. We shall never forget that we have to adapt to the world that is ever-changing around us. And although it might not be a core of what we do, it still is one of our main pillars, driving pillars, and it's always going to be that. And our structures, organizational structures. There's a million ways we could restructure things. But what about for once, we keep what we have and bring it to the finish line? Because our business model, it might alter from time to time because things change and time passes, but what stays is our LDM, right? We put in 4 words what the world needs, and that's not going to end at the end of this term. It's not going to end in 2020. It's not going to end. What we need is value delivery and continuity. Because all I'm saying is, we don't have to choose. We can be entrepreneurial and emotional and united. And we cannot only be that, but we have to be that. It's our duty for our members and the people we serve. So I know, what are we afraid of? Are we afraid of growing? Are we afraid of failing? Are we afraid of talking and not acting like has been so many times before? Or are we afraid of burnout? Or maybe of finishing things and not liking the results? I can't give you the answer to that. But I know one thing, that action cures fear. When I sent in my MCP application 3 weeks ago, I totally panicked, and I WhatsApped my dad saying, "Dad, I'm scared, I want to cry." And he said, "Darling, it's probably not fear that you're feeling. It's probably adrenaline." Probably, who knows? But I want to leave you with one final question, and I want you to take this question with you no matter what your decision is tonight. And for that, once more, please close your eyes. And have that word in your head again, that word you made up, that why, have it in front of you. See it. And now answer yourself. What would you do if you were not afraid? Thank you.
Bum, 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 bum. Amazing. Now we are going to go into a 20-minute Q&A, of course, starting with Max. You know the procedure. I'll do the Jules. Yes, raise your voting card if you want to be named. So Max, then it's Tübingen. That's Jena. Sorry. Jana, Sunrise. Benny. Hamburg. And Halle.
Max MC Alma, thank you very much for your application, for your great speech. I would like to know from you, How would you describe to a newbie who just joined the organization how your ISAC in Germany will look like at the end of your term?
My ISAC of Germany will have grown. My ISAC of Germany will be healthy and free of risk, like major risk that we have to like worry about. And my ISAC of Germany is going to be united by individual purposes making up one united ISAC in Germany.
Tübingen, then Jena.
Sunny Tubing, thank you very much, Alma, for your great speech. My question is, what do you think would be an average day of an average member? Would an average member's day would be in an LC?
In my term.
Yes.
Really, it would not be that much different from what they're doing right now, next to guaranteeing that a vast majority of our members actually have tasks that matter. Like they don't do tasks, but they do work, which is not only connected of like things they got delegated, but things they created. And they're gonna know why they're doing it and where it's gonna lead ISAC and where it's gonna lead them as a people.
Jena, then Jana.
Vinny Jena. Thank you so much for your speech, Anna. I would be interested in how could an MC structure look like in your term, as you won't be leading the organization completely alone, and what is important about the characters in your team?
I think that at this point, I could just not make an informed decision on what the structure could look like, because I don't have had the takeover and I don't have the insights of how the processes are going and what actually is possible in the future. But what I can imagine is actually leaving things as they are. That would be an option for me. And it's just an idea that I have in my mind that if we have the pipeline for it, like if we find someone who would fit that position, maybe you could put marketing and IM together if someone has both skills for it, and then work with NSD chairs to actually manage the network. So that was the first part of the question. And the second part, to be honest, I think I answered in my application what kind of characters I need in my team.
Jana, then Benny.
Hello, Alma. Thank you for your speech. Jana, Ryoko Sunrise, sorry. Hello, Alma. Thank you for your speech. My question would be like this, M4 is all about actions. Do you believe you can bring enough action in this organization or action steps? Or what is this one thing that you will bring in?
Well, first of all, I think that just from my very personal opinion, if you elect an MCP, you have to rather look at the direction that person wants to go than the detailed planning that person has done, because that planning can change, because not even us have, like all of us have the information to make like informed decisions on how action plans should look like in the future. So what you should see is that person getting you at the end of 16, 17, where you want your successors to be. And I do believe I can bring in action, because I think I've proven it in the past experiences I've made. I mean, my LC did double exchange numbers when I was LCP. My region was the only one growing. So apparently something about the leadership style seems to be okay.
Benny, then Hamburg.
Greetings, Alma. Thank you very much. Benny, MC. My question would be, what is the worst thing the MC 1516 or generation 1516 has done so far and should be stopped? And what is the best thing of generation 1516 so far and should be continued?
The worst thing the generation 1516 has done is forgetting sometimes, and sometimes often, that we are still a youth-run organization with volunteers as a core. Because sometimes I have the impression that we are focusing and getting more and more entrepreneurial. And I see us being in 2 years, if we continue just like that, being more like a company, doing an exchange, but not being connected to our purpose anymore. And what the generation 1516 has done great and should definitely be continued is the transparency and the communication. It's still not perfect, but it's the best kind of communication I've seen in the MC and ISEC in Germany so far.
Hamburg, then Halle.
Miko, Hamburg. Thank you very much for your application, Alma, and for your very inspiring speech. My question is, how are you going to live up to the LDM, and how will that shape your MC, your NSP, and your LCs?
By being extremely self-aware. It's funny because although self-aware is part of the LDM, you need to have this one particular skill in order to actually acknowledge the rest of them. So always taking the time to critically ask myself, what are you doing? And could there be a better way to do it? Like in everything I do, is gonna, like I could give you examples of how I already fulfill it, but that would go too far. But like constantly in a good way, criticizing myself and what I do and being self-aware about it, yeah, it's gonna get me closer there. And to be honest, like every leader, like every entity is the mirror of its leader. So if I do it right, the others will too.
Halle, then Gießen.
Steve Halle, thank you for your speech, Alma. You mentioned that you are also in the entrepreneur concept of ISEC, but I think you also have the vision and purpose-driven concept of ISEC in your mind. How do you see where these two concepts connect, and where are the touch points between them?
I think it goes a lot in the direction of what we talked about yesterday in the people-centric session. Because I think we do need the entrepreneurial mindset to get our process and our strategies and operations forward, because this is what's going to get us successful. However, we can never forget that it has a deeper meaning, and that meaning is not growth, it's quality that actually leads to growth, that actually leads to leadership experiences. So this is the thing that we have to remind ourselves at every entrepreneurial step that we take.
Gießen, then Dresden.
Jan Gießen, Alma, thank you so much for the speech. My question is, how big do you think is the relevance of talent management in ISEC in Germany right now?
I think the relevance of talent management right now is not at all where it should be. I'd be really honest. Like I've been talking to people, and a lot of people say the VPTMs just don't feel relevant, and it's a sad story. So we could either talk about eliminating them and redistributing the task. However, when I talk to people who see the relevance of TM in their entities, it's people who use them strategically, who use them really as a right hand of the LCP. And the members have like overviews of the whole processes that's going on in the LCs, and they can challenge all of the teams. And there, the relevance is great, and it helps the LCP also to get off some work to concentrate on strategic matters. And we should definitely strive to go in that direction.
Dresden, then Jules.
Markus, Dresden. I would like to add up on the question from Steve, and my question is, like, how do you, and be very concrete, how do you, as MCP, connect the purpose-driven aspect with entrepreneurial mindset in the whole organization?
What we have to understand is that purpose-drivenness is not a purpose that the organization can dictate to the people. It's a purpose that we need to find in the members. Like when the member journey begins, we have to help them to find that purpose, because then it's gonna be super easy to connect every step they do in the operations and to connect the goals that are very functional to that why that we find out for them in the beginning. And I think just through the motivation they're gonna gain through that, it's always gonna be connected.
Jules, then Braunschweig.
Jules Regelko. Thank you, Alma, for your application and your inspiring speech. I have a simple question for you. Why did you join the ISEC, and why did you stay? And what do you hate sometimes about ISEC?
I joined ISEC after I came back from living a year in India, and I just really wanted to continue the internationality, and I wanted to be surrounded not only by Germans, and I hated university, so it was a good thing to do to get my mind off. Why I stayed is because it constantly put me out of my comfort zone. Like I could just see a change in myself every 6 months. So it was something that my studies or any other thing I was doing would not offer me. So it was worth staying. And what I hate about ISEC sometimes is that we are not as humble as we say we are. We say we are super relevant, but sometimes we don't see it, we don't acknowledge it, and at some points we aren't. So we should really be honest to ourselves way more often, and that gets on my nerves sometimes.
Braunschweig, then Mainz.
Firstly, thank you, Alma, for your application. I think that's a very brave step you took. What I would like to know, I like the idea of setting personal goals or personal roadmaps, and not only just growth numbers, but from the MC perspective, how do you want to measure this to see progress?
It's funny because people think you can't measure personal steps, but that's not true. If you say you want to be someone who's more open-minded, or who's like not as shy and is like someone who goes out to people and talk to them, then you sit with that person, you define a goal, you find out why that person wants to be more open-minded, and you set the KPI that you are going to talk to 5 members and have an honest and good conversation that lasts more than 10 minutes within the next 2 weeks. And there's 3 numbers you can measure in that.
Mainz, then Pam, sorry.
Jenny Mainz-Wiesbaden, thank you so much for your speech, Alma. My question is, you said that you don't want to change as many things, but you rather want to finish up on things for once, is what you said. So what do you think should we have finished up on in the past so that we would have achieved more?
That's a really good question. I think especially when it comes to really functional innovations, like when I look at the exchange, within the exchange functions, they start a project, but I have barely seen any kind of innovation project, no matter in what of the exchange programs, go beyond 3 to 6 months. So any of them, but at least, I don't know, 10% would have worked out, and it's a shame we never found out which ones they are.
Pam, then Mitch.
Pam MC. Hi, Alma. Thank you very much for your candidacy and speech. We were talked a lot about financial sustainability in this term so far. Now my question is, how do you see the role as an MCP in this matter?
As I kind of said before, I know that the entity is a mirror of its leader. And I think the MCP has to stand behind the MCVP fin no matter what. Because if that person continues the steps we're taking and they are leading to somewhere and we have a plan to be healthy again, then the MCP and every EB member and everyone needs to stand behind that decision. So what I as an MCP would do is actually showcasing that standing behind someone, so the LCPs stand behind their VP fins and so on.
Mitch, then Frankfurt.
Thank you very much, Mitch MC. Thank you very much for your application and the presentation. I'd like to know 3 traits or competencies that you, given that you get elected today, actually want to improve and develop till the 1st of July. And please give concrete action steps on how you will improve them actually in your transition.
Okay. Well, one character trait is that I know sometimes when I'm working on a project and I'm super passionate about it, I tend to get dominant. Like I tend to want to like say a lot, and it's like the emotions overpowering the action steps at that point. However, I feel that during the transition with especially Max, who's a very rational and emotional controlling person, it's already an action step to battle that. The next skill I really need to improve is how to communicate with externals, because I don't really have the experience like to communicate with companies and board of advisors, and I would have to sit down and really see, okay, what can I do? What kind of communication trait do I still need to learn and get education about that before I go into the meetings and learn by doing as well. And also, I would like to be able to communicate more boldly. So like to be able to, in every circumstance, put things in just 2 sentences. And I think that real practice is a matter there, and I shouldn't wait for the situation to come up, but just practice in everyday life.
Frankfurt, then Aachen.
Chris, Frankfurt. Thank you, Alma, for your speech. One question. What would you say is the biggest difference in the leadership style between you and Max, and what's the one thing you have in common? This
is a really good question. I think the major difference between us is that we come from very different backgrounds and we like different things. Like Max does like having a structure and having like, he's a startup person, he's an entrepreneurial person. This is like what he really likes. And so he likes to use this kind of trade to push forward what he's passionate about. And I just like people, like not just, but I like people. So I see that by empowering people and by talking to people, by working on people more than on the whole structure, I want to get to my goal. But what we do share is the love for the organization.
Aachen, then Bielefeld.
Sarah Aachen, thank you, Alma, for your speech. I really liked it a lot. And talking about why and also your approach on how to set personal development plans for every member. How do you think that could fit in the holistic concept of the organization and their operations, and what problems do you think might arise?
I'm going to start with the problem. Is that okay? The problem I see is that when I talk about coaching, people say fluffy. But for me, that reason is that people don't see coaching as I do, because for me, it's not this therapeutical thing and you have to sit down and ask a lot of whys and a lot of questions. It doesn't take time. The coaching, I mean, is really just about defining a goal, setting action steps, having an MOS, having an KPI, and having a support system to actually get there, track it. So all that we actually do with our programs and our functions, we just have to do with the personal goals. And this is something that can be done within half an hour every 4 to 6 weeks, sorry. So everyone should actually have PDTs or evaluation talks with their members, like you with your VPs with your members. So it's just a way to really improve and do it in a very simple way. And so therefore it fits in the team standards operations of the everyday work.
Bielefeld, then Pelle.
Gabriel Bielefeld, thanks Emma for your speech. One very important point in it was to use the individual purpose of the ISACers. So my question is, how would someone fit into this organization who has not found his or her individual purpose yet? And what can this person bring into the organization?
What I'm saying is that we have to understand that it's our duty, if that person hasn't found that purpose, to make that person find that purpose. And it's not difficult because it's just about asking the right questions. So what that person actually brings into the organization, but not having found its purpose, is for us the challenge to improve our skills and getting them there.
Pelle, then Martin Regioko.
Hello, MC. Thank you, Alma, for your speech. My question is regarding the first answer you gave, that you actually want to avoid risk. So why do you want to avoid risk?
Okay. I suppose it was a miscommunication then. It was concerned when I said we need to be healthy. So we're not like opposed to risks that are super major. And what I had in mind is like the financial situation we are in right now. So just taking this as an example, we should be at the end of 2016 at the best possibility at a stage where we don't have to fear this particular risk anymore, but we're always going to be opposed to risk. That's no question.
Martin, then Kiel.
Hello, Alma. Thank you very much for your application. You said we should help everyone find their individual purpose. As an organization, we have also one, peace and fulfillment of humankind potential. It could happen that people find a different purpose. Do you think there's something wrong with that, or how do you can make everyone with the many purposes we have, make them go in the direction we want as an organization?
I'll be very honest to you. I don't think there is one single purpose a person can have that is not connected to peace and fulfillment of humankind's potential.
Kiel, and that might be the last question.
Stefan Kiel, thank you for your speech, Alma. Do you think ISAC is best way for young people to develop leadership skills, and if yes, why?
It is right now the best way for young people to develop those skills because we are the largest student-run organization and we reach most of the young people compared to other organizations being at our stage. But that does not at all mean that we are the best we could be.
We do have time for one more, and that would be Lüneburg.
Julian Lüneburg, thanks for your speech. What kind of relationship do you want to have to the 16, 17 SAPs?
I want to have a relationship where people are not afraid to approach me because they're afraid to disappoint me. And this is something I have seen happening in this term, in the last term, and since I am in ISEC. And this is something that really frustrates me because we are able to differentiate between the people we are and between the positions we have. And however, I don't see myself as the main manager of the LCPs because I would still like to have my Regiokurs managing network way more than I do.
Give it up for Alma. All right, that was the first round. You can all shake it off a bit and already start to get excited for Johannes and the next candidate as we build up. Does anybody have a joke to tell in between? Actually, how many people do we have on the live stream? 62. Hello, people on the live stream. Nice that you're watching. We've also been here the last 2 days, but you didn't tune in, at least not most of you. That's cool. Okay, let me check. Basti. And we can already start to get excited. Basti, is the music ready?
Just yesterday, the Bundestag decided to send 1,200 people to Syria. That's additional to the tornadoes that we use for surveillance and additional to all the material and the training that we deliver to the Kurds already for a year in the north of Iraq and Syria. This actually means that Germany is entering the war that is already fought by 16 parties in this area of the world. It's just 2 more people fighting for an area where nobody is really sure who it belongs to, who should it belong to, and who is actually fighting who. Not talking so much about the outcome of the conflict in this area, but what I'm sure will happen is that we will see more refugees. Already we have the highest number of refugees since the Second World War, and as we know, that is Germany and Europe is one of the most popular destinations for refugees. So in Germany, actually, we are feeling uncomfortable right now. Actually, there's even a lot of people that are afraid. Well, how does it feel like if a lot of refugees come to your country? Is your culture endangered? Is your economic state of being endangered? That's just thoughts that some people might have in Germany. I don't say that it's my view, my point of view, yet I do agree that some people are afraid. And that is where people go to the streets. They just like do their regular Monday demonstration, they join Pegida, or they are actually being very violent, throwing Molotov cocktails at houses where refugees are actually supposed to live. Just this year, 772 incidents occurred where houses were attacked. 222 out of those were with a violent background, actually meaning to endanger people, like, for example, throwing Molotov cocktails. An alternative to fear, I think, is determination, meaning that you channel this uncomfortableness that you have into something that's valuable. In my case, I just pronounce it as doing something good. So what could this determination look like? In Germany, it's people who go into a soup kitchen, actually helping people. It is people who go in Hamburg to the Kleiderkammer and give out clothes to people all day long for free. There's a lot of other things that you can do with your determination. You can donate money. You can even go somewhere and help. Now, ISAC is also one way of channeling determination for young people. I'm not saying that ISAC is sending all those people to soup kitchen, but ISAC is a way of channeling determination. Now, just channeling something somewhere doesn't really lead you to a result. Now, what ISAC wants to do is we want to have smart entrepreneurs. We want people that think a little bit about what they have, that use their resources wisely, that actually know, as for example, a local committee president, that they're leading on average 100 experiences that are lined up behind them. It is also handling your sustainability, not only when it comes to financial sustainability. In the national office, we have 3 people that are actually employed in our Verein. They have a life that is dependent on our organization. So you need to be kind of smart and kind of entrepreneurial, not only to sustain what we have, but also to get up innovation in the future, to build a more customer-centric ISAC. It's not easy, but I think we're all kind of smart and it could be possible. Just channel your determination in the right way. The problem is, in Germany, we comfort each other. You know, we have a system that gives us everything, and also we have a system that's very intolerant of failure. Germany is a country that thrives on not making failures. So what we do is, when we see the results that we want to achieve, is that we actually are afraid of them. We are afraid of the results we want to achieve. We don't channel the energy that comes from that into determination. No, we channel it into fear. What does that lead to? It actually leads to that your goal suddenly feels very unrealistic. It leads to you not being able to take care of your EPs, your trainees, your partners, or your board. It leads to you being stuck in fear. This brings me to what I would call your duty as a local committee president. I already talked about that you are leading a little entity, a little social enterprise. There's a couple of people who are dependent on you. What you are supposed to do is to make those people uncomfortable. It's you who leads this entity and mirrors external events into your local committee. It's you who tells them, maybe we should think about this. Maybe this is something that we can work on. Maybe this is something where we can be better. Now, this is very abstract. What does this mean concretely? It, for example, means sending people on exchange. It, for example, means sending people on IXP, because that is very uncomfortable being in another country. It also means, if you cannot send everybody on exchange, to listen to those stories that your participants tell you. It means to listen to the stories that your interns tell you, and it means that you listen to your partners, because they are not necessarily ISACers. Okay? So, and even on top of this, you can just implement a simple news feed in your Slack channel, just mirroring daily activities that is happening around the world and directly connect them to your operations. It's so simple, yet it makes us so much more relevant. Bringing me to my role as an MCP, or the general role of an MCP, as I would say, being that what an MCP does, he leads a team. Mostly a team of good-looking people, very intelligent people, very smart people, yet also just students like you are, okay? Just with 1 year more of ISAC experience, probably. And this is something that you as a local committee president can easily also copy. It's what we call role modeling. It's very easy that an MCP builds a team of success. You as SP just do the same with your EB. That's your responsibility. It's something very easy that you as an MCP can do. Coming back to mirroring externalities into ISAC, that is just the same. It also goes the other way around though. An MCP has the responsibility to activate you as local committee presidents to take your responsibility for the national ISAC, because you are leaders of ISAC in Germany. Of course, you're also a leader of ISAC in Berlin, of ISAC in Bremen, of ISAC in Darmstadt, yet you're also leader of ISAC in Germany. So if you find something that is relevant in your area, you need to bring it to the other people. That's what we call bottom-up innovation. And that's something that you as an MCP should always foster, that actually what happens on the ground gets basically known throughout the whole organization. Which brings me to gratefulness. I think we say we are leaders, and it's actually true. And this is something we can be grateful for. At least it's something that I am grateful for. It means that I get to empower others on a daily basis. It means I'm sure that I cannot achieve the goals by myself. I need others to achieve goals. And not only that, it's actually nice talking to people. It means that you become more of a world citizen. We're an international students organization. I get to talk to Dima from Russia about what he thinks about Russian culture. I get to talk to Batu from Turkey and explaining him to me what Turkish politics is all about right now. This is something where I can become more of a global citizen. I get to be solution oriented. You know, it's not that easy doing what we do, as I explained, because we're smart entrepreneurs, yet still there are some challenges sometimes. So I need, and I will learn, and I'm learning to overcome challenges and be more solution oriented. And it's the same with self-awareness. It is on a daily basis, basically people ask you, why are you doing this? Are you good at this? At this? Are you good at that? It's this constant challenging and mirroring of others giving you feedback that makes you more self-aware. And this is what I think, at least I am very grateful for, that I get this opportunity to do this. Which brings me back to the start. I believe being uncomfortable is actually important, being aware of what happens in the world. And we want it to not lead to fear, we want it to lead to determination, because we think the world can be better. For this, we actually need to be smart entrepreneurs that lead our own social enterprise, that know something about strategy, that know something about the use of resources. And we shouldn't comfort each other. We shouldn't be afraid of failure, we should thrive for it, because it gives us energy to be better afterwards. And this is your role as LCP, our role as MC, as MCP, as member, to make this happen. And this is, I think, something which leads in the end to be very grateful for your experience, because it just makes you a little bit better than before. And that's also what I want to say now. Thank you very much. Pelle would like you to stop. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, you know how it works apparently. Max is starting, then we go to Aachen, Darmstadt, Düsseldorf, that's Paderborn, Mitch, Jules, Gießen, Hamburg, Benny. Jena is holding the sign upside down. Okay. Tübingen, yes. Pam. Dresden. Okay.
Thanks, MC. Johannes, thank you very much for your speech. I would like to know from you, how would you explain to Nui, who just joined a few weeks ago, how ISAC in Germany will look like at the end of your term 16-17?
Just as clarification, did he go through like some kind of induction yet? Like, or not? What's her name? Julia. Okay, Julia. So look, at the moment, ISAC in Germany is already kind of more digital than before. We kind of activated the whole membership, and we totally implemented the business model because like everybody develops leadership now in every experience. Yet we already know that what we do is still not customer-centric as we would like it to be. And that's what we're working towards. This year, we will really go into this direction of really listening to what you actually think before you came here into induction. Because we think that we actually want to build ISAC around what the world needs, and this is youth, and this is more customer-centric. That's the one thing. On the other hand, we know that for being disruptive, we need to connect more with the external world. And Julia, as you are a public relations student, I don't have to explain it to you really, because you know how important it is and how other organizations need them to have more ISAC. Still, as we only started bottom-up innovation last year, it's something that we still need to continue this year because this kind of organizational change process, people tell us it takes longer than a year, probably like 2 or 3, so we will continue it. Overall, in very short words, ISAC will be better in a year.
Aachen and Darmstadt.
Sarah Aachen, thank you, Johannes, for your speech and application. My question is, what's my duty as LCP if you fail in your role as MCP, or rather as role model?
Have you given feedback before I failed?
I tried.
Well, so you tried giving feedback, yet I didn't listen apparently, so I'm very resistant to change, which is very sad because it's not like that now. You know what an MCP term does to you. I believe even without an MCP, you as LCP can be very, very aware of what you can do. In general, it's very easy. You want to develop leadership qualities in people and like go from there. So the basic responsibility, I think, is very clear as an LCP. And the other, like the methods you have to have a Misstrauensvotum and all that kind of stuff, if I'm really that sucky, that's like your legal thing. And in general, I think ISAC is such an open organization that also MCPs will at some point listen to feedback, even if they're as inconsequent as I am probably are in that moment. Yeah, so that's your responsibility. Do your best, even though there's nobody helping you.
Darmstadt, then Düsseldorf.
Great, thanks. Thank you, Johannes, for your great speech. Alex Darmstadt, sorry. I've been talking to my VPs lately, and they have been saying that the MC doesn't have that influence that they had a few years ago on the local hemisphere. I was actually thinking, is this desired by you as an MC right now? And if not, how would you change that?
Yes, it's desired by us as an MC team. I somewhere in the region once I used the metaphor of giving away threats, like Fäden, like comparing ourselves, for example, to China. They are now at the moment at the barrier where they can't grow anymore because they cannot hold any more threats. So in order for them to expand OGCDP, they actually need their local level to be more stable in what they do, because a lot of that is steered in the MC. And that's also what we tried this year with bottom-up culture by activating membership. It's also like, I think what was in Max session earlier, actually 4 days ago, is that 350 people basically did all the exchange last year. And like coming from my past, it was also the same before. And if we get to 1,500 people being as productive as EB members are right now, then we get somewhere where we grow more than just 2% a year. So yes, it's good. And I think bottom-up culture is just the right way to go.
Düsseldorf, then Paderborn.
Hi, thank you. Amina Düsseldorf. Please imagine, following two situations, you can choose one of them. Would you rather choose Germany after you have finished your term? Germany with 400 members, but who truly believe and who truly understood what ISAC stands for, but thus do not deliver the numbers you expect them to do. Or you have 2,000 members all over Germany, and who achieve Yeah, and who do everything in ISAC just for practicing for their future career, but thus do deliver Brazilian numbers.
Okay, I choose the Brazilian.
Yeah.
Um,
And
mm.
can I add something? And
Sure.
sorry, and the first group and
Looks really good.
just guys, no. No, and you know that they truly understood everything because of something like a survey, or everyone called you, yeah, personally and tell you thank you. I've got a great experience.
Okay. Thank you very much for the question. I think if they call me and really understood it yet produce no results, they lie. It's like no results, no impact. So I'm doubting that they really understood the 400. Like they might be true believers, and they really that reminds me of myself a year ago. Actually, it's like a true believer in the idea, very fascinated by the whole concept of ISAC, being very empowered by the general thought, yet no idea how to take action. So I would rather choose the 2000 because apparently in there are some people who produce results, and making them understand that ISAC is not only about improving their CV seems at that moment to be easier than activating the 400 to do something, because if they're very excited about ISAC, they can be very, very stuck and very hard to convince of something else. Whereas showing someone a world beyond the CV at least sounds easier, because a lot of people actually have that before they come to ISAC. So maybe we just didn't do our job at that moment well enough. So I choose the 2000 doing Brazilian exchanges.
Paderborn, then Mitch.
Yes, thanks, Johannes, for your speech. Christine Paderborn. Thanks, Johannes. I have one quite general question. Like for you, what's your personal main difference between an entrepreneurial company and an association like we are?
One very obvious difference is that we don't have any cost for personnel, like barely any cost for personnel. We can maintain 1,400 people without paying them. Yet, like, except for this, I think if you take entrepreneurial mindset, then you wouldn't see a difference. But in the end, how you lay it out from a company side can be more like the outcome of the company, basically of the business, can be profit. So something that is just there for enriching basically the people who have the company. Whereas in our association, what we aim for is making zero profit and also no loss. Whereas the outcome of what we do is better people. So yeah, I think that would be, at least if it's an enterprise that is not a social enterprise.
Mitch, then Gießen.
Thank you. Thank you, Johannes, for your application and speech, Mitch MC. You've been in ISAC for some years, and you've obviously also seen some MCPs. So I'd like the plenary to know, what have you learned from the last MCPs, Patrick, Nastasia, and Max?
Okay, so from Patrick, I actually learned that if you do something that is not actually yourself, it breaks you down. So this way of being like really, really sure that is something you want to do, but trying to be someone else to lead the team, and then getting sick over it. From the girl over there, from Nastasia, I learned that I think people will only feel the duty that they have towards ISAC if you talk to their heart, because otherwise you have people that are true, like they do a good job and they might produce results, but after a year they will be burned out because it's not touching their heart, it's more touching their mind and like what they can touch. And I think it's very important to ISAC, like having this essence of really, being this kind of emotional organization that believes in people. So that's something that can be learned from Nastasia. And from Max, I actually learned what it means to be an entrepreneur, what it means to run a business, what it actually means to think holistically about an organization and not just in this, we are ISAC, we're doing cool things and we think we're entrepreneurs, but really putting everything into a framework, having an overview over things and ordering them in a way like a business actually would do it, and also pulling in a lot of external expertise. Brilliant brain, so I'm really impressed.
Gießen, then Jules.
Jan Gießen, thank you so much for your speech, Johannes. My question is, how big do you think is the relevance of talent management in ISAC in Germany right now?
That's a very good question. I think for induction, talent management is still very relevant because I think the teams in themselves, without stopping operations, would not be able to induct the amount of people in that short of time. And we still are peak-based when it comes to talent management or to talent recruitment. After that, sadly, it sometimes degrades into event management or in something that does education or training, which sadly doesn't really work. In the last 3 years, we always had problems getting the area into a direction where it actually contributes a lot towards HR management. So one great idea could be into the future that you don't have a TM team, but have a VPTM that is doing HR controlling, is also taking care of the induction and is taking care of productivity and team standards in a way, yet doesn't have a team that needs to do something after the induction is over. So you can have an OC for recruitment and also for the selection part, yet afterwards have one person that's responsible for talent management. That's one idea though. I only started thinking about it on this conference, so it's very preliminary.
Jules van Tübingen.
Jules Regelkuh. Thank you, Johannes, for applying. On my Nico, I had a session about telling us the reason why you join ISAC and the reason why you stay are usually different. So I'm going to ask you right now, why did you join? Why did you stay? And what do you hate the most about this organization?
I joined because I wanted to go on exchange, actually on the GAP during my master's, because I didn't get my Erasmus semester in my bachelor's. That's why I joined. Actually, I knew that I would join anyways if I liked it, but I wanted to go on exchange. I stayed, at least in the first year, because I perceived ISAC as being a very professional organization. Something where like, oh, they're actually better than all the other clubs I was in before. They actually, I know, they seem to be more systematic, more goal-oriented. So that's why I stayed. And yeah, the people, of course. What annoys me now the most is, I think, something that really, really annoys me is that we as ISAC are not able to break non-self-reliance fast enough, like Unselbstständigkeit. Because I feel like our system that we have in Germany, it's not only the educational system, I talked about it in the speech, this fear of failure, that it's very persistent in Germany, that we're not able to break this sooner than after like half a year, almost quarter of a year, depending on like where you start as a person. So I would like us to be better in this, like to do it faster, to get people faster into a failing environment, basically, because in the beginning, they're very much waiting for tasks to be given to them and like a lot of other examples. Yeah.
Tübingen, then Pam.
Thank you, Johannes, for your great speech. Sunny Tübingen. My question is, how should an average day of an average member look like in your term?
It's a good question. So I would expect that person to attend university normally. So one course from 2 to 4. And being probably on Slack during the lecture, checking out what's currently happening in the local committee, being rather aware because he or she read the news in the morning, what's currently happening, then going to his or her global citizen meeting where, like, you remember the structure from the case study, they actually think about, okay, what does our customer need today? Like, what can we do today? Can just be a 15-minute check-in going through the EPs. And if it's the day where the local committee meeting is happening, maybe in the evening get together for an hour, go over the most important and relevant topics for the community at the moment, do some check-ins, and then drink a couple of juices in the evening before going to bed at 11:30, because the next lecture on the next day is again at 12 very early. So
Pam, then 2.
Pam MC. Hi, Johannes. Thank you for your candidacy and speech. As you know, we were talking a lot about financial sustainability lately. And how do you assess the role as an MCP in this matter?
I think that the MCP has just as much responsibility for finances as the VP Finance does, and also all the other members of the MC, obviously. Yet what you need to do as MCP constantly is to make people aware of the fact that finances play a part in our operations. In a way, not that we need to make money in order to sustain ourselves, but that money is sadly a factor in the things that we do, because money is still a topic. This means that when designing a budget plan, a VP Finance and an MCP should work closely together to come up with the first draft. Because it's not only that you should not share this, that you have this responsibility on the shoulders of one person, like VP Finance, for example, it's also the shared outcome of it in the end. So Vier-Augen-Prinzip in finance, 4 eyes principle, I think is very important. Yes, I think an MCP will most likely never be as adept in the whole budget plan and in controlling and in especially legal stuff, I guess. Yet you should always strive for being the best you can be because you're the chief executive, so to say. So in the end, it's also your responsibility to take care of this stuff.
Then Dresden.
Hi, Johannes. Thank you for your candidacy. Tu Hong, MC. My question is, a huge part of being an MCP is running an MC team. And so what would be your biggest challenge running your MC team? And what would your MC team's biggest challenge be working with you?
Okay, second one first. My MC's team biggest challenge working with me is coping with my randomness and sometimes being very provocative. So I think you at least need to build some shell and some character, getting used to me, or I try to be less demanding in the beginning. So I think that would be hard for an MC team. I think what would be hard for me is not so much being empathetic in the beginning when I don't know people. It's more this aspect of what I'm really afraid of is the first 3 to 4 months, like this whole building up the team and realizing, okay, what kind of touch points do we need? How can they be designed? What do we need to do in order to build the best team? Because I believe once you have this team and have it assembled in a way that everybody plays the role he or she can be best shine in, then it's like iterations. At least for me, that feels easier because you have something to start from. But in the beginning, like not having worked with the people, then looking, okay, what does everybody need to do? I think that's something where I will at least get, how you say, expertise from externals. Mr. Max, for example, I believe did quite a good job. Yet also there's enough coaching available to the MC to actually talk about how to build a successful team in the beginning. Also reading probably helps.
Dresden, then Kiel.
Markus Dresden. Hello, Johannes. My question is, how does the continuity of our movement look like in 1617? And how will you ensure that as an MCP?
Thanks. So what I think, what we did with 1516 is that, for example, we took over the vision that was already created last year. What I see coming is that the ambition statements that we still have that are not yet realized in the way that we formulated them in the song sheet is something that will go into the next generation. Yes, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 new, depending on how good we are this term. The same is true with the drivers. We have a very clear definition of when we have actually implemented this driver and implemented or fulfilled the goals that we have for this term. So if we achieve 100% in our drivers, then we can build up on this. That's what I presented in the case study, taking for granted that we achieve 100% of what we aim for this year, we can build up on this. Because then business model implementation is more than lead, it is a two-sided platform. And that's why it merges into customer experience, for example, leaving one spot for a driver open. Which also, like the general framework of strategic direction and ambition is also something that I think we should continue, not only because of the visual, but also because the systematic is just quite good. On a more emotional level, I think what needs to come back a little is what I talked about earlier, this heart kind of thing. So that might be something I would break, or not break, but try to bring back more again. Because this year we are very systematic, but sometimes lacking this kind of emotional part.
That was the last question. So give it up for Johannes. Amazing. All right. Since we're moving into election now, I would kindly ask everybody who's not an LCP, EGP or ASTP, or part of the MC to leave the room. And of course, LRR and the OC can stay. Keep your voting cards. Okay. Dum, 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 dum. It's very empty all of a sudden. All right. Looks good. Sorry. As we're going into voting now, we're actually perfectly on time. That means we'll also finish the voting probably in time. I just want to remind you to remember the entire process. I know you just saw the speeches and the Q&A, and that's the thing that's most on your mind, which is cool because you also could clarify your last questions. However, there were a couple of things before, so please, as you make your decision, go through the entire process again. There was an application that you read, there was a case study and a Q&A, there were regional rounds yesterday, and a panel discussion, and the speech and Q&A. I'm now going to move forward to explain the election process, how it's going to work. You're going to, yes, don't leave the room. That would fuck up the process, of course. Then you will collect your ballot from Frauke once your name is called. And please bring your, yes, voting card with you and show it as you collect your ballot. It pretty much works the same way as it did for the MC Selection Committee election on Thursday. Yes, so just collect it once you get to the front. I will give you a time. It's probably going to be 15 minutes that you have to think and actually go through the entire process. Then you will be called again to the front to hand in your ballot. The voting itself will also look exactly like the last time. So we vote by prioritization, 1 for the most suitable candidate, 2 for the second most suitable candidate. If you don't think a candidate is suitable, you put an N for no on the ballot. If you put an N for no on the ballot but want to elect the other person, still put an 1, not a yes, because a yes would make the ballot invalid. E for abstention, because that's an Enthaltung, you know it, pretty easy. And you cannot abstain for only 1 candidate. I think that's pretty clear. You've been also reminded that you remember the entire process. So then, are we ready, or do you have any questions? Looks good, looks good. So I think we can start. Frauke, are you ready? Stefan ist
Sorry. We will start handing out the voting ballots. Aachen, then Augsburg, Bamberg. First Augsburg, then Bamberg, Bayreuth, Berlin HU, Berlin TU, Bielefeld, Bochum, Bonn. Then we have Braunschweig, Bremen, Darmstadt. First Bremen, then Darmstadt. Then we have Dresden, Düsseldorf. You can still start rowing up, so we can be a bit faster. Düsseldorf, Frankfurt, Frankfurt, Gießen, Göttingen. Okay, Frankfurt, Gießen, Göttingen, Halle, Hamburg, Hannover, Heidelberg, Jena, Heidelberg, Jena, Kaiserslautern, Karlsruhe, Kiel, Köln, Leipzig, Lüneburg, Magdeburg, Mainz-Wiesbaden, Mannheim, München, Münster, Nürnberg, Paderborn, Passau, Regensburg, Stuttgart-Hohenheim, Tübingen-Reutlingen, Würzburg. Then we have Benny, Christoph, Mitch, Pam, Pelle, Tu Hong, and then Max. Okay, so now you have 15 minutes time. Please just, if you are done, just keep your ballot until we call you again.
So as now will nothing happen anymore right now in this room, we will finish the live stream and see you back in about 1.5 hours for the announcement of the next MCP. See you there.